Welcome back to the Ashish and Ryan Sports Podcast. I'm thinking of renaming it Airing of Grievances. Whoever watches this video, please comment, reply, if I should rename my podcast the Airing of Grievances Podcast, because I get mad over a lot of things. I yell over a lot of things. And that will be my podcast, essentially. Starting now. Something I've got to air my grievances over is the referees in the Cleveland Cavaliers Game 1 loss to the Golden State Warriors. I saw this story on ESPN. Let me find the title of this story. What's the title of this story? Behind the crucial calls NBA refs make on the biggest stage. Now let's dissect that title. Number one. It doesn't say crucial mistakes. It doesn't say big mistakes. It doesn't say game-altering mistakes. It says game-altering calls. Okay, first of all, not putting any blame on anyone. Okay? Make on the biggest stage. So that this immense amount of pressure that the referees feel that is somehow bigger than the players who actually perform. Okay, you know what this is? You know what this is? We're going to take you backstage to tell you about how hard the non-athletes that make decisions in the sporting events, how hard their job is. How hard it is. How difficult it is emotionally. What is the process behind it? See, you know how hard it is? Think about if you were in our shoes. What would you do? It's essentially a way, and I think people rag on the refs, okay? I don't think they do it too much. Because there are calls that cost people games, that cost people jobs, that cost people money, that cost people championships, that cost people legacy. And 2 nights ago, that was a legacy-altering game called by the refs that essentially ruined LeBron James. Ruined his legacy. Because he scores 51 points with 8 assists and 8 rebounds. The best game that anyone has ever seen him play. And the refs take it away from him. J.R. Smith aided in that too. But he wasn't trying to. Okay. The George Hill missed free throw. He wasn't trying to do anything. And I'm not trying to insinuate, right, that the referees have some animus against LeBron James. LeBron James always gets the call. because he's a superstar and usually because he deserves the call. But here, this was just plain incompetence, plain stupidity that cost all of us a moment in sports. You know, Cleveland could win this series 4-1. LeBron could average 30 and win the series. But you know what would have added to his legacy? Obviously, if he sweeps this team 4-1, that's going to vault him into a stratosphere with Michael Jordan, and possibly in some eyes, even above Michael Jordan. But that game that we witnessed on Thursday may be the greatest playoff performance in the modern day history of basketball. In the NBA Finals, not only scoring, not only playing good defense, scoring at a historic level from all ranges, mid-range, long range, at the basket, the free throw line, getting his teammates involved, 8 assists. That should have been 20 if the guys had actually made shots. Controlling the pace, making sure that the Warriors don't run out. Taking good shots, making sure the offense slows down, doesn't try to run a track meet with the Warriors, but plays tit for tat on the offensive end in terms of efficiency with Golden State. We were robbed of this guy winning in that fashion because of the referees. Now let me read you some quotes from this article. These are bolded quotes, so they matter, right? While it appears on tape, how could anyone not see that? Referring to LeBron James being 4 feet outside the restricted area. That everyone could see from a television camera. Not in the arena, not on the floor, but in a television camera through a television lens. Thousands of miles away, we could tell that. How could anyone not see that? Referring to that play, that's how life works. We all have doubt in our work, even after it's done. We all have doubt in our work, even after it's done. Did that doubt apply to reversing the call? You realize replay was created so that you could find a definitive answer if there is doubt in your work even after it is done. Do you realize what that implies? The call should have never changed. Because it's not definitive. The fact that there is doubt, and it is reasonable doubt at that, means that the call should never have been changed. I saw this in the Ohio State-Penn State game. Deshaun Hamilton, Denzel Ward fighting for a ball in the end zone, initially called a pick. Called an interception on the field, goes to review. There is zero piece of conclusive evidence that you can find to overturn that call. Zero piece of absolute conclusive evidence that you can find to alter that call. Because obviously the camera angles are so restricted. Especially when two players are jostling for the ball in between their hands, in between their bodies. How can you possibly find anything conclusive to overturn a call? Same type of thing happens here. The reason why replay exists is so that doubt could be erased. If doubt is not erased, stick with your original call. Oh yeah, there's still doubt that we may have gotten the call wrong after its reversal. But we're going to reverse it anyway, even though that doubt still exists. What is this? I mean, if you took this and put it inside a courtroom, a case to overturn this would be shot down in 5 seconds. Okay? And first of all, if fans wearing glasses, okay, can see that the guy is 4 feet outside the restricted area, how can an NBA referee who should have better vision than the rest of us, if they can't see that, they should get their eyes checked. Okay? They should have better vision than the rest of us. With a better angle than anyone in the world watching that play, and they still managed to screw it up. My God. And see, this is the thing. If you're a high school ref, fine. If you're a college ref where no one actually cares about winning championships, fine. If you're a middle school ref, fine. If you're a day school ref, if you're like a preschool ref, fine. The parents will still yell at you, and I sympathize with you, fine. But an NBA referee is a professional, top-class, world-class referee. They are the best in the world at what they do. Okay, and if you're calling the NBA Finals, you are the best of the best in the world at what you do. Okay, and you're not even supposed to be involved in the event, right? It's supposed to be about the players who actually do things for entertainment, who actually make plays, and the referees standing there are finding a way to screw it up. The average NBA ref makes $100,000 to $550,000 for an 82-game season. So you're talking about the highest paid, best of the best in the world. Not in America, in the world. And they find a way to screw it up. Alright, let me read you this next quote. This is even worse. If there's an empathy toward all of our humanness, I think the league will be in a better place. You don't play the sport. You're supposed to be one of the best in the world. Okay, you're talking about millions of people who care about the result of the game. And they care that it's millions of fans, spectators, broadcasters, announcers want it to be officiated fairly, played fairly. You are paid $500,000 a year to referee basketball games where you literally do nothing but blow a whistle. Now, in the biggest moments, in the biggest games, highest paid, best in the world, like the NBA players, your expectations rise. And the expectations aren't, hey, do this for this person, or you'll get the axe. The expectations are don't do anything that injects yourself in the outcome of the basketball game. Make sure the players determine it. Officiate it like that. And they put themselves in the center of that basketball game, taking away from one of the greatest performances by one of the greatest players that we've ever seen. All for naught because because two guys that are supposed to be the best in the world at what they do, although we know LeBron James, right, is the best in the world at what he does, or at least one of the best. He performed like it. These guys just had to make one call right. They found nothing conclusive to overturn it. There was nothing conclusive to overturn it. Look at this quote. We all have doubt in our work even after it's done. That means you shouldn't ref. Okay? Because if there is nothing conclusive to overturn a call, you shouldn't do that. Again, you are making $500,000 a year. And these are top of the line referees. Considered the best of the best of the best in the world at what you do. And you find a way to screw it up. Quote, when we have a lack of civility, then it's dogma, McCutcheon says. This is Marty McCutcheon, the NBA's head of officials. After 36 hours after the controversies of Game 1, it's I'm right and you're wrong, and I think that's happening with the internet culture. And I think that what's happening with the internet culture is that we're much more interested in dogma than discourse. Discourse, you're the best in the world, okay? Your job is not to be great, it's just not to screw things up. You get paid handsomely, you're right where the action is, and you still find a way to screw it up. Obviously there's going to be some dogma. Because if the average fan making $50,000 a year can see that, why are you worth the money that you're making? Why are you in the position that you are? Because you're not worth it if you screw up that badly. I want there to be more discourse than dogma. Then make the right calls, man. Make the right calls in the biggest games. And it's not like it's 6 or 7 calls, 2 or 3. Just don't be stupid. Don't be blind. Just make the right calls. How is LeBron James, how is it uncertain that he's outside of the restricted area? You shouldn't have been able to review that. And secondly, the actual call, there is much debate over whether it's a charge or a block. You're still allowed to move, but you can stay in legal guarding position. I mean, my God, you want discourse? Then tell the fan that's making 50 grand a year, that's struggling to get by, why you do your job so much better than he can do your job. Because if you can't defend that, if broadcasters can't defend that, if even the stupid people, as well as the smart people, can't defend that, then obviously there's going to be dogma more than there is discourse. Just deal with it and get the job right, get the job done right the next time. First of all, get the job done right the first time. Okay, come on, don't play this human card with me. Because we're all human if they understood the human element of this. Come on, man. You don't understand the human element of the fans? Understand that first. And then we'll talk. Alright, this is the Ashish Ryan Sports podcast. Again, please message me if you think I should change the title to Airing of Grievances Ryan Sports Podcast. I'm thinking of starting a new separate political podcast, not trying to merge the two together, but two separate podcasts. Coming up next, Cassius Marsh said something new, which I actually agree with, and why there's a separation between Pittsburgh and New England. And the last topic of the day, concept of the last topics of the day, Aaron Rodgers and his leverage, along with who I think is going to be one of the biggest top 5 busts in recent history. Coming up next on the Ashish Ryan Sports and Political Podcast.